What is up, everyone? My name is Michael Pohl with Bay Area Aquatics, and today we're going to be adding the first fish that I bought for this set of 4 27-gallon outdoor ponds that I just set up a couple weeks ago. Alright, so before we get to adding the fish, I want to go over a couple of changes that I've made to both this pond that you can probably already see, as well as the 55-gallon minnow pond that's on my front porch. And before we get into that, I'm going to do a quick merch plug, hoodies, etc., blah blah blah, all available, bayareaaquatics.com/shop. Be sure to go get yours. Alright, so if you couldn't tell, the first major change that we've made to the pond system is we've added this lid type thing with the pond netting, just to mainly keep the raccoons and squirrels and leaves and my cats out of it. The lid is, I was debating on whether or not to make it one long piece or a couple of pieces or what. I decided ultimately I just wanted to make it one long piece just so it was easier. I put these handles on it just because it's not heavy, it's just big and awkward, and these make it nice to grab and lift up and then move it over. And yeah, it's just 2x10s cut down just a little bit. Then I've got 2x4s on the end here. And then for the supports across the middle, these are just 2x2s, and they're actually resting on top of the ponds. And that's what's holding it up, is it's just resting on each of the supports of the ponds. And then it just kind of holds itself down by gravity. And I wanted something kind of heavier to keep the wind from blowing it up, or to keep things from being able to kind of lift it up. And then the pond netting is just stapled into the side here. Like I said, screwed in, stapled, etc. And yeah, it's just a cheap little like $10 pond liner from Amazon, but it's something to just keep everything out of the tubs. And yeah, I've had questions from people asking whether or not I was concerned about like dragonfly larvae and that. I didn't have issues with that last year, and so I'm not super concerned over it this year. I'm going to try running it this way just because I want to kind of keep the ponds as open as possible. But my backup plan is if I start to have dragonfly problems or if I start to have other things like that, I could very, very easily put some window screen over the top of this and just staple it all down. All I gotta do is just unscrew the handles, throw the window screen over, staple it, put the handles back on, and this thing is good to go. So this is my lid system for the pond for the time being. The mesh may change, it may not, I'm not sure, but this was the big change. I know a lot of people were asking if I was going to put a lid on it or were recommending I put a lid on it. I definitely am, because I actually live right next to a big open field, and so we get quite a bit of wildlife and raccoons and coyotes and stuff that walk through our yard. We even get some wild turkeys that come through here every now and then, and so definitely was planning on putting a lid on it, just because the minnows in the 55-gallon pond, there was a lot of plants and they were dark, they kind of blended in, but a lot of the fish I'm planning for these are brightly colored and are super visible, and these are a lot smaller ponds and they're kind of up more and they're not going to be as heavily planted. So I definitely wanted to make sure I had a lid so that my cats didn't go fishing and none of the other local wildlife decided to get lunch. Alright, so now we came to the pond in the front yard. Again, this is the 55-gallon White Cloud Mountain Minnow pond. You can see I decided to make a lid for it out of 2x2s and put the pond netting over it. I even stained it to match and added these little black handles, again, just to make it easy to lift up and to look kind of nice. I think it looks real nice. I actually prefer this look over the waterfall, just because the waterfall still looked kind of weird with the 2x4s and stuff up here, but I really, really like this. I may build a second one to put right there, and then possibly do like a fountain or something right here in the middle. Haven't decided yet, but you know, it's just kind of one of those, it's up in the air. Now, I did remove this cheap Chinese filter, this very like fine poured Chinese filter, just because it was getting clogged, and I knew that, but I had it, so I was like, why not just throw it in? And because I remembered that I had an ATI coarse sponge filter that's now on this side over here, and then the Aquarium Co-op one is right there. So since I have 2 airlines, I figure I'm going to run it, and that way it gives me just an extra sponge filter in case I want to set up another pond, or in case I need to set up like an emergency pond out here or something. Since I have 2 air outlets on this air pump, I wanted to run both because I didn't want to waste it or combine it into one. So that's where it is. Waterfall's gone. Lid here's changed, and then I've also changed the air pump. So because of that, we have moved, there's a little hole in the side so the airlines can go through it. I need to get some PVC pipe to cover up this airline, just so that I can run the airline through it, so when I'm weed whacking I don't accidentally cut it. But that'll be done soon. I just haven't gone to Home Depot yet. I did this last night, and I'm not weed whacking for another week or two, so I'm not super concerned about it, but that will get ran under some PVC pipe or something. It might even get buried a little bit just to kind of protect it. All right, so I moved the air pump back to behind my fence. The pond is just on the other side of this fence here. There's power back here, etc. And I did the same type of protective like box or whatever you want to call it as I did the other one because it's working great. It's simple, it's effective, and worst comes to worst, if I need to repurpose it, it's a 7-gallon tote. I got plenty of uses for it. Bricks, 2x4s that were scrap. Not that big of a deal. And so I also upgraded the air pump, which I think I said in the last clip, but I decided to upgrade from we got random stuff blowing over. That's the bad thing about being at the end of the street is everything ends up in your yard. But we've got a Danner, I think. Danner AP4. This was a Tetra 60 that had the 2 outlets. I don't like the Tetra pumps. They're loud. There's not really a way to control them. This one I can turn down. I can turn it up. I have it running at about medium because I don't want to stress the pump too much. But these were on sale on Amazon. Palmer Aquatics posted about it. They were like 15 bucks for this pump. And so I was like, you know what? I want to try it. I'm not a big fan of the Tetra. I like the adjustable. This is more of the style that I have on the other pumps as well. And I think it's just going to hold up a little better out here. And so I went ahead and ordered it, and I actually like it. I definitely prefer it over the Tetra, and it was a lot cheaper than the Tetra. I don't know about the regular price, but at $15, it was a good pump to buy, so I went ahead and bought it. And like I said, it's adjustable, puts out a good amount of air, not super loud. It's actually quieter than the Tetra 60, even on the full power mode, so it's not as loud. And on medium like this, you can't hear it from my front porch. On loud, you can hear it from the front porch, and then the Tetra 60, you could hear it from my front porch. And so that's why I kind of like it at the medium here, is it's just quiet. You can kind of hear it up close, but not super. And then it's on, again, scrap 2x4s. I just cut up to make it work. And then put some bricks on top to weigh it down, because it does get really windy over here too. Like, so you can see all the trash that accumulates from people throwing it in the field, and then it gets over my fence, and yeah, all that good stuff. All right, so those are the upgrades and the changes that I've made to the ponds in the last couple of days. Like I said, I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on that. But now let's go ahead and net out the fish that I got for, it's probably gonna go in this very corner tub here, and get them started and kind of let them float for an hour or two before I actually put them in the pond. They've been in quarantine in my house for a while. They're a very common, easily accessible fish, but they're almost always guaranteed sick. They're very cheap, but I ran a bunch of medication through them. I bought a lot of them because I knew I was going to lose a lot of them, and some of you already know what I'm talking about now, but they're a native fish to North America. I think they look cool, and they're super accessible to everyone. So I went ahead and I just got some, and I want to try breeding them out in this pond. All right, so we've got the fish netted and in a bag. I'm gonna float them in the pond, although I guess just realized I have to take the lid off just to get them in the pond. But if you haven't been able to tell by now, these are red rosy minnows. These are often sold as feeder fish at PetSmart. I think I paid like 10 cents a piece for these guys. I bought 30 of them. Like I said, I lost about half of them, if not a little more. There's maybe 10, 11 of them in here, but they're starting to color up real nicely, and I'm real excited to get them in the pond. They are native to North America, so they should be able to deal with the temperatures no problem. They're super commonly used as like mosquito fish or something like that. They're not mosquito fish, but they're often used in horse troughs in place of those. And so they should be out here in the tub no problem. It is a little cold in California now. Last week it was like 75, 78 degrees, sunny. Now it's like a really, really cold, high 50s, and kind of windy. It's supposed to get a little colder for another couple of weeks and then heat back up again. But I'm not concerned about these guys at all. They should make it through no problem. One of the things that I just realized I forgot to mention was I went ahead and added these Zis valves to each of these tubs, just in case I wanted to shut the filter off and be able to kind of see without the water being shaky. And I ran the tubing through the little holes on the side. Since the lid sits right against here, I didn't want to pinch the tubing, but luckily there's holes, so I just ran the tubing through there, put the air valve and check valve right here on each of them, and each of them has a nice little organized kind of cable management system built right into the pond. All right, so now since I temporarily holded them here, this is going to be a pain to do with one hand. Hold on. Whoa. There we go. All right. So now that they're out of their temporary holding spot, since I didn't tie the bag, I think these guys are going to go in this very, very last tub here. I'm going to float these guys and just clamp them to the side for, I don't know, probably an hour or two, just to really let them kind of sit in, make sure they can get adjusted to the temperature. There's about a 15-degree water difference between what they were being kept at inside and out here, and I don't want to shock them too bad. I'm a little worried about the 15-degree difference. Again, these are feeder fish, so I'm kind of like, well, worst comes to worst, I can get more, but they should be, they're pretty tolerant little guys, so they should be plenty okay coming out here and adjusting like that. Alright, so the fish have been sitting out here for about an hour and a half. I came out at about the hour mark and it was still about a 5-degree difference, but they seem to be doing okay. They seem to be super active, so I'm going to go ahead and just pour the water in. Normally I wouldn't do that, but I've got floating plants and stuff in there that I kind of want in the pond, and it's coming from my own water versus like a store water, so I'm just going to kind of make the exception here and just pour the bag straight into the pond and get these fish in here. Alright, so now that the fish are in the pond, I guess we're going to kind of see how they do. They seem to be swimming around just no problem at all. They're a little lesser energy than they were, but you know, you just moved them tanks, moved ponds, whatever. But a bunch of them are still active, so it should be pretty okay. Like I said, water temperature was the same. And yeah, hopefully these guys work out pretty well. I'm excited. They look really good in the pond. They're nice to be able to see that bright white with like a reddish tint, that rosy tint, versus like a white-clawed minnow where they're kind of darker. These guys stick out a lot more. So let me know if you guys are starting tubs, if you keep any fish year-round, and what type of fish you guys keep year-round, as well as like kind of your highs and your lows. Like we get to right about 32 degrees freezing is like the lowest we ever get, but we get up to about 115 in the summer, sometimes even 120, and so we can get very warm and we can get water that's very warm. But I keep white-clawed minnows year-round, and hopefully these guys are going to stay out year-round as well. But I'm looking for some more that I can keep out year-round. So let me know what you guys keep, because I'm really, 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 really interested in that. If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell notification so you get notified every time I upload a video. If you like a video, I think that's my cat. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.